Hello there, Guildies. This is the Adventurers Guild. I'm Steve.
Still Jesse.
And you have tuned into yet another amazing episode of Game Night.
That's good. Let's toot our own horn.
We recently shot an episode comparing Super Nintendo and Genesis games head-to-head for graphics and sound and gameplay and just all-around fun, and you guys seem to really respond to it. So we are going to do another episode just like that, but this time with a quintessential 16-bit era game that anyone who lived through that era has played one version or the other,
And has
or
taught and
both,
compared.
and without question has a preference. You know what I'm talking about.
Street Rat, Riff Raff, Aladdin.
Correct, Aladdin. Ooh boy, the game with the world's hardest Cave of Wonder stage.
On both.
On both. They were ridiculous on both. But regardless, we're going to play them both right now, and we are going to give our opinion on which one is superior on Game Night. Let's cue the music.
Game Night.
Okay, guys, here we are with the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And before we even get started, I will say I am very familiar with both of these games, and this is one of the few times where I personally prefer the Genesis version to the Super Nintendo version. But that being said, the Super Nintendo version is still just impeccable.
And they're beautiful. They look so different.
It's funny. They look similar, but at the same time, extremely different, if that
They
makes
both
sense.
play so differently.
I guess because they're both, they both still have the same, or that same style of animation.
You don't get a sword in the Super Nintendo one
This
either.
is true.
Oh, you remember the part of the movie where the people jumping out the window?
Yeah, of course.
You got some bread there.
I love how. Ugh, how do you get that one? I can't remember. Oh, you have to go up. See, this one is more, like, almost parkour style. You know what I mean? Like
Parkour!
there's yes, in The Office. Like it's, I maybe for lack of a better word, like it's more cartoony in the sense that it's a little bit goofier, right? And like there's so much more acrobatics to it, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Definitely has more of a platformer feel than the other
Right.
one.
The other one's more.
The other one has a lot of platforming in it. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely an action
Right.
game. You know, with the sword, apples, and
Well, you have apples here. I was just throwing some.
yeah. So, I don't know if it's just grown up on the Sega. But I definitely think I prefer the Sega sound because I don't even recognize the song. It's not even one of the, every Sega level, if you remember, had a different song from the movie. This is more of like generic.
I mean, it has the right beat, but it's like the wrong. It's almost like it's the wrong instruments playing. You know what I mean? Like you can tell that it probably belongs to Aladdin.
Yeah.
I missed that gem. Whoops. But at the same time, it's like
Look,
I don't know. It's
You know what you got in this one that we don't have in the Sega?
what's that?
A poop.
Abu, man.
That's what I said. A
You
poop.
said a poo, like poop.
Oh yeah. Whatever. A poop. Hey, Genie.
And that was the whole first stage. I remember being longer. Oh, the stress of what am I gonna get here?
Jeez.
Jeez, did it take any
yeah,
longer? I don't know what the star does, but I feel like it's not a good. It wasn't good.
Credit.
Okay, never mind. It was an entire one-up. I mean, entire continue, so that's pretty good. Hey!
Robin!
Thanks, Genie. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh.
Whoa! Yeah, it's so bizarre that there's no, like, weapon to fight with. Not that Aladdin gets a weapon or whatever.
You know what I always found bizarre, if you remember this, because this was the same situation. I owned the Sega version, but I rented the Super Nintendo as a kid. If you remember the box art, he had a sword on the Super Nintendo.
You know what? Yes,
Yeah,
you're
and
right.
that always drove me crazy as a kid because there's no sword in the game.
Yeah. Huh. Can you knock this barrel over? I feel like you can. Nope, I guess not.
At least he got his running animation back. not have to talk about it for 20 minutes like you did Peter Pan.
That's true.
You were so upset about
I
it.
continue to be upset about that, actually.
This was also after, because if you remember, when the Super Nintendo was first released, there were still a lot of games that they were ported to both Super and Nintendo.
Right.
So some of the games felt kind of dumbed down because of that. This was one of those first games where this literally only came out before Super Nintendo. And, well, I'd say a different company,
Right.
the Sega one. But because of that, you can tell a lot of time was put into this game.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the graphics are still fantastic on this.
Mm.
And that slide is so strange, isn't it? That like this isn't a fast-paced game, but yet
You know, the other thing that's weird about this is there's no other way to describe it. The characters were always bigger in the Super Nintendo versions of games, and it always felt like the screen was closer. Even when we, in our last video, we were doing Batman,
right.
the sprites were so much bigger on the Super Nintendo version. And it's like you see...
That's a good point.
You see so much more of the screen in the Sega version.
Ah! Whoa, that was not a very well shot.
And I'm wondering if there was a reason why, if like just the Super Nintendo rendered things closer better, or what it was.
Yeah, I couldn't say. I think if I recall, there's something. Yeah,
Don't make it to the Cave of Wonders, man.
Oh
You'll be
yeah,
stuck
'cause it's
on it.
impossible.
You'll be stuck. on-
Well, we'll be switching to the Genesis version very shortly. So, oh look at me, I'm getting good now, man. It's all coming back.
You know what's funny is
As I missed that.
it's like the Genesis version of the game is super short. You remember? It's like
Yeah, but it's super hard.
yeah, exactly. That was the funny thing. It's like 4 levels long, but they're more. Let's see, it's Agrabah, the desert, the dungeon, Cave of Wonders destroying, yeah, and then the final boss. It's 6 levels maybe, but they were super difficult. That's how they used to expand games back in the day.
Just make them insanely difficult.
Yeah. Funny enough, this is one we're not doing because the games are so similar, but Lion King, the reason the
Whoa.
second level was so difficult is because they didn't want people to be able to beat it when they rented it. So they made the second level almost impossible.
Right. Sure, I guess you can't make the first level impossible because then you'll never want to try it again.
Yeah. And then it just makes people feel like they're doing something wrong. Like, I got past the first level, no issue.
And I forgot how. You know, it's funny. I just made a comment like a few minutes ago how familiar I was with this game as a kid playing it, but I forgot how springy and acrobatic this game is. Like, the whole thing is flips and jumps.
Calm down, you street rat.
Like it's almost like you have to have muscle memory to remember how to play this game. Like where the springboards and how to get to the different secrets and stuff, and how to properly bounce off people's heads to get like to the secrets and stuff.
Thanks to this movie, it was the first time like I almost had like a brain conviction. It was Aladdin was voiced
Can
by
you grab that?
Aladdin was voiced by the same guy that did the played DJ's boyfriend in Full House.
Yep, Steve Wingert.
Yep, and it was so weird to hear him and like recognize that voice because both of those shows,
Oh yeah,
or both of them are from our childhood.
right.
He still does Aladdin's voice, if I'm not mistaken.
He does. Yes, he does.
He did it for Kingdom Hearts too.
He did it for Disney Infinity.
Really?
Yeah,
Good for him. Sounds exactly the same. Why not?
sure does.
Yeah. No one says Jasmine like he does.
Yeah. I feel like there should have been a boss battle by now. Isn't there a boss battle coming
I
up?
feel like this is
Because we would have
stage.
switched to the Disney version. I mean, there's the Genesis version. If we would have had a boss battle.
The Disney
earlier.
version.
You know what I mean?
The Genesis version is obviously based off the old folk.
That doesn't sound right.
Do you remember that you're in the Lord of the Rings? Right when the movie came out, before the Two
Here we are.
Towers game came out,
Right.
they released a game based off of the novel
Look at that poo.
instead of the game. I always found that so comical because it tricked people. Don't jump on him because obviously that. Oh yeah.
You gotta wait till he swings. Oh God!
What is that?
That's how he gets angry, man. I love how Apu is just like
You
Well-
got this, bro.
playing the role of Rocky's trainer.
Get him with a 1-2. You're the champ. You did it, man.
Banger! Woo 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 woo! We beat the first stage, as
Ron
opposed to
doesn't
the
cover.
game we played last time, which was Batman, where we did not beat the first stage.
Oh, who's that
Hello.
girl? Hello.
Princess.
How did you know?
Even though I don't know currently, but I do know. Well, that is the end of the first stage of the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. Now, Jesse and I are going to magically switch places while he plays the admittingly superior Genesis version. In 3, 2, 1, swap! Hello! We have swapped places!
Oh.
And it is time for the... Hold on, before we hit start?
No, man.
Listen to that. Listen to that. It's so Genesis. It is so Genesis. The synthesized music. But ironically, it's the correct music. Like, we were talking about how the Super Nintendo has a better audio chip, and the music was fine in the Super Nintendo Aladdin, but it didn't sound like Aladdin music.
Yeah, versus...
This is blatantly Aladdin music,
This
but
is blatantly a whole new world.
it's like a 90s style MIDI you would hear on like a computer or MIDI file or whatever, where it's just like a synthesizer.
Alright, I'm starting it. Skip all this. Okay, with all the different things. Apu.
Abu, man.
That's why-
Stop calling him Apu. Apu is the dude who runs the Quickie Mart in The Simpsons. What is wrong with you?
It's the same thing, same character.
It's complete.
It's the same character.
Why can you never get a name correct?
I did earlier today and you were upset with me.
Was that even on video? Because we have no proof of that.
No. Alright, there you go.
Once again, perfect audio score as far as it's the correct music. Man, this is fast-paced. Holy mackerel! I do not remember this game being this fast-paced.
Oh, I do. Boom!
See, it's funny because, you know, there's not the acrobatic
I remember
aspect
that.
of it in this game. I mean, sure, you climb a rope and you do jumps and stuff, but man,
That was a checkpoint.
you're running around with a scimitar, first of all.
No, jeez.
Like,
Oh,
you're
geez.
actually attacking people with the sword if you could actually get past this jump part.
Sorry, I forgot about the pots. It scared me. Oh, wow. I also think it's funny that it plays Prince Ali at this point, not
Yeah, that's true. Oh, there's a one-up. Well, that wasn't a one-up. What was that?
checkpoint.
Oh, right.
I also love this animation. I always loved it as
Yeah.
a kid. I don't know why.
It's startling.
Talk about the looking up, huh?
How different how similar yet different the two games are just by booting them up. You can tell that they wanted more.
Well, this was. I know that this one actually used the stills from
The actual sprites from the show, yeah.
from the
movie.
Yeah.
Like a digitization of the,
If
of
you
the
want,
animation
if you
cells.
want a good behind the scenes on this, they re-released this for the Switch and PlayStation and probably Xbox One. I'm not sure about that one. But they have a behind the scenes where it shows the making of this actual game, and it was ridiculous how much. Bless
He's
you.
on camera.
It was ridiculous how much they actually put into it. Sheesh.
Well, I mean, this was a AAA title when it released, so.
Yeah, and it's still one of the best released movie tie-in games of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care what anybody says.
It's also one of the best looking Genesis games probably of all time. Granted, there's some definite Genesis games that look great, but man, this, you know, if you didn't have your glasses on and you stood back here, you almost for a split second would think you're actually watching the movie.
Yeah. Even the little things, like look how his jacket falls.
Yeah. There was a lot of love put into this, especially compared to the Super Nintendo version, which is superior from a graphics aspect as far as capability-wise. They definitely seem like they pushed this version as far as it could go. And it moves so quick. Must be that blast processing. Yo!
I don't know why we've hung out so long that we're starting to make the same noises.
So you sliced that poor man who was just trying to juggle, all
He
because
was
you
throwing
wanted
knives
to pick
at
up
me.
Genie's head. At least this guy, you killed him with an apple or something. At least these guys are trying to kill you. The poor sword swallower just wants to perform for you.
Wouldn't?
You hear some acrobatics, but like, if you're just bouncing off of it, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like you're doing full-blown parkour like you are in the Super Nintendo
Parkour.
version. Every time I say that word, you're gonna make the office joke.
Yeah.
It's a deal. I forgot there was merchants in this one.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact about it, I'm sure people on the internet know because they have, internet, but was originally supposed to be Robin Williams' character.
Who was?
The merchant from the beginning. That's why he voiced him as well.
You know, it's
See
funny.
if I can do the boo.
Growing up, I had a Super Nintendo. I mean, I eventually got a Genesis, but I had a Super Nintendo, and my best friend at the time had a Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
For Christmas, I got the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. For Christmas, he got the Genesis version of Aladdin. I loved the Genesis version, and he loved the Super Nintendo version. So whenever we would go over each other's houses, we would play that version.
But it was because
we preferred the other one.
Yeah, but it was also because you didn't have that other one.
Exactly, yeah. Like I saw like the fast-pacedness of this and the action, and I was like, oh, I want to play this. And he saw like the acrobatics aspect of it and the more of the puzzle aspect of it, and he wanted to play that one.
Oh.
Nice try.
A boo.
If you say a boo one more... Oh, wait, that's right. Okay, see,
Thank
that time
you.
you screwed me up because you said it right that time.
So this is also different because this one goes to a desert, which wasn't in the movie at all. And it uses a non-song for the movie. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And then the next level is Agrabah again.
But we only did one stage on the SNES version. I don't know when I started saying the word SNES, but every time you hear me say SNES, I need you to slap me. It's a recent thing, and I don't know why. I think I saw a YouTube video where someone kept saying that, and it just burned in my brain. We only played one level of the Super Nintendo version, the SNES version. So we're now on stage 2 of the Genesis, so what do you say we cut it to the outro?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Alright. Ready? We are going to do a magical genie wish to the outro. Genie, I wish for you to take us to the outro. Now what would Robin Williams say? Come on right up!
Oh, yeah!
Here we go! Bow! Okay. Whew, the genie did a great job.
That was weird.
It was weird, and I don't know why I insist.
All this cosmic power, teeny titty belly places.
There you go.
That's not the line.
So that was
I love that
Aladdin
movie.
for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Very different games. It's so strange to me how they used to, like we said in the video gameplay, how they used to do that with different
separate companies.
Separate companies. But yeah, that was Aladdin for both systems. What do you think was better as far as audio wise? Which one do you think was superior from an
That's
audio
a tough one
standpoint?
because technically the Super Nintendo, the sound effects were better, the sound quality was better. It sounded like actual instruments, but just the actual movie music made me feel like the experience was a little better on this.
It's funny because every Genesis game seems to have that same synthesizer style audio track, or maybe not all of them, but a good majority of them. And the Super Nintendo, they just hit a home run with that audio chip that they had in that system. That being said, I agree with you. I think the sound effects were better on the Super Nintendo version, but having the actual score done in the way it was done on the Genesis, I think I have to give my vote to the Genesis version. And now, what about the graphics? What do you think was better?
Same thing. As much as the Super Nintendo looked better, we talked about this during the video, but the graphics were closer, which would mean you should get more detail. And they did have a lot of details in there, and like the sand and all that. But just seeing the sprites in the second version, I prefer that. It looked like you were playing the movie. At one point, you said if you backed away, it looked like you were just watching the movie.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. The Super Nintendo version looks so good, and the animation is great, but it looks like you're playing the movie on the Genesis, and
like you said, they pushed the Genesis to the limit on that. Just there's a couple times they showed the animations in that game, like him pushing, him falling, and the way his vest goes up, and
the speed that it moves, and it's just a great, beautiful looking blast processing style game. I mean, I don't know why I keep making jokes about that, but it's my vote for graphics goes to the Genesis version as well. So I think in this particular case, the Genesis version has the superior one.
Sorry.
I honestly think the only other game I can even think of where I would give the winning vote to the Genesis would be like Mortal Kombat.
It is true.
Because of, like,
and
the
it's
blood
funny
code
because
and
the
stuff.
Super Nintendo version looks better. It
Yeah.
was just the blood and finishers inside the
Right.
Sega version. And the pit.
Oh, true.
You can
Right,
max
with
out into
Reptile,
the bit.
right. Okay, well, I think that'll about do it for this episode of Game Night. For the Adventurers Guild, I'm Steve.
Still Jesse.
And the Genie. Thanks, Genie, for helping us out, teleporting us.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
We'll catch you next time.